What if the reason you have been struggling your entire life, the reason you feel not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not successful enough, not enough, has absolutely nothing to do with your failures, your mistakes, or your past? What if I told you that right now, in this very moment, there is a story playing inside your mind, a story you did not write, a story you did not choose, a story that was handed to you before you were old enough to question it, and that story has been quietly, invisibly, and devastatingly running your entire life? What if the walls you keep hitting are not made of your limitations, but made of a lie you were told so early, so consistently, and so convincingly that it became the voice you call your own? What if everything you have tried, the achievements, the people-pleasing, the perfectionism, the self-improvement, has been a desperate attempt to silence that one terrifying belief that you are fundamentally not worthy of love and belonging? And what if I told you that the answer is not more discipline, not more success, not more approval from other people, but something far simpler, far braver, and far more available to you than you have ever been told? Stay with me. Because what you are about to hear will not just change how you think, it will change who you believe you are. And that changes everything. What if the greatest crisis of our time is not poverty, not war, not political division, but the quiet, invisible, devastating epidemic of people who do not believe they are enough? I have spent over 2 decades in research. I have sat across from thousands of people, men and women, young and old, rich and struggling, celebrated and forgotten, and I have listened to their stories. And what I found in those stories was not what I expected. I went in looking for data. I came out carrying something that shook me to my core, because underneath every broken relationship, every abandoned dream, every act of self-destruction, every moment of paralysis and fear, underneath all of it was the same thing, one thing. Shame, not guilt, not regret, shame. And here is why that distinction matters more than almost anything I will ever say to you. Guilt is, I did something bad. Shame is, I am bad. Guilt is about behavior. Shame is about identity. And when shame becomes your identity, when it moves in, unpacks its bags, and starts narrating the story of your life, it does not just affect what you do. It affects what you believe you deserve. It affects who you allow yourself to become. It becomes the invisible ceiling on every single room of your life. Most of us walking around right now are not living. We are managing. We are managing impressions. We are managing perceptions. We are managing the terrifying possibility that if people really saw us, the real us, the unfiltered us, the us that struggles and doubts and fails and falls apart at 3 a.m, they would leave. They would judge. They would confirm the thing we already fear most, that we are not worthy of love and belonging. And so we perform, we achieve, we accumulate, we post carefully curated versions of our lives on social media. We say yes when we mean no, we laugh when we want to cry. We shrink ourselves to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold us. And we call this living, but it is not living, it is hiding in plain sight. Now here's where I need you to lean in, because this next part is the part that everything else depends on. The real reason you struggle with self-worth is not because of what happened to you, though what happened to you matters deeply. It is not because of your failures, though failure is a profound teacher. The real reason is this. Somewhere along the way, you learned from family, from school, from culture, from religion, from social media, from 1,000 silent messages that your worth is conditional, that you are worthy if you succeed, worthy if you are thin enough, worthy if you are smart enough, worthy if you are productive enough, worthy if you never make mistakes, worthy if people approve of you. And once you learn that worthiness is conditional, you spend your entire life chasing conditions. You get on a treadmill that never stops. And no matter how fast you run, no matter how much you achieve, how much you earn, how much you accomplish, there is always another condition waiting around the corner. Because the bar of conditional worth never stays where you put it, it always rises. And you always find yourself, no matter how far you have come, standing in the same place emotionally, not enough. I want to talk about vulnerability. And I know what just happened in your body when I said that word. Some of you tensed up, some of you rolled your eyes, because we have been taught, deeply, ferociously taught, that vulnerability is weakness, that showing emotion is dangerous, that admitting you do not have it all together is social suicide, that asking for help means you are broken. But what if that is the most catastrophically wrong belief we carry? In my research, I found something that I was not prepared for. The people who had the strongest sense of love and belonging, the people who lived with what I call wholehearted joy, the people who seemed genuinely free, they all had one thing in common, and it was not success, it was not beauty, it was not wealth or achievement or any of the things we have been told to chase. They had the courage to be vulnerable. They were willing to say, I love you first. They were willing to do something creative even when there were no guarantees. They were willing to invest in a relationship that might not work out. They were willing to say, I am struggling without the armor of pretending. They were willing to be seen, truly, fully, uncomfortably seen, without knowing how the story would end. And that willingness, that terrifying, radical willingness, was not weakness. It was the most accurate measurement of courage I have ever encountered in 20 years of research. Vulnerability is the birthplace of love. It is the birthplace of creativity. It is the birthplace of belonging. And most importantly for our conversation today, it is the birthplace of self-worth. Because you cannot build real self-worth on performance. You cannot build it on approval. You cannot build it on achievement. All of those things are borrowed worth, and borrowed worth can always be taken away. Real self-worth, durable self-worth, the kind that survives failure and criticism and the worst days of your life, that can only be built in vulnerability, in the honest, courageous acknowledgement of your full humanity, the light in the shadow, the strength in the struggle. Now I need to talk about something that masquerades as excellence, but is actually one of the most sophisticated forms of self-destruction I have ever studied. I am talking about perfectionism. Perfectionism is not the same as trying to do your best. Please hear that clearly. Perfectionism is not a high standard. Perfectionism is a defense mechanism. It is a 20-ton shield you carry to protect yourself from judgment, from criticism, from failure, from the terrible vulnerability of being human. And the devastating irony of that shield is that it is not protecting you, it is crushing you. Perfectionism whispers, if I look perfect and do everything perfectly and never show weakness and never make mistakes, then I can avoid shame and judgment and blame. But what it actually does is keep you from starting, keep you from finishing, keep you from trying, keep you from being seen, and keep you locked in a permanent holding pattern, waiting for the moment when you are finally good enough to participate in your own life. That moment never comes, not for perfectionists, because the perfectionist's internal standard is not a finish line, it is a moving target designed to keep you forever just out of reach of your own worthiness. I want to talk about a distinction that I believe is one of the most important distinctions of human experience, the difference between fitting in and belonging. We spend enormous amounts of energy trying to fit in, changing our opinions based on who is in the room, editing our personalities, hiding our interests, performing versions of ourselves we think will be accepted. And we call this belonging. But it is not. Fitting in is the opposite of belonging. True belonging does not require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. And the only way to find true belonging in the world is to first belong to yourself, to look at everything you are, the messy, complicated, contradictory, beautifully imperfect everything, and say, this is enough, I am enough, not because I have earned it, not because I have proven it, but because I have decided it. And that brings me to the most important thing I will say today. Worthiness is not something you earn, it is something you claim. The people in my research who had the greatest sense of love and belonging, I started calling them wholehearted people. They were not more successful than everyone else. They were not more talented, they were not luckier. The one thing that separated them from everyone else was this: they had made a decision, a quiet, fierce, deeply personal decision that they were worthy of love and belonging, not someday, not when they lost the weight or got the promotion or fixed all their broken pieces, now, as they were. That decision is available to you right now, in this moment, not after therapy, not after you figure everything out, not after you stop struggling, now. But claiming worthiness is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice, and that practice has specific components. It means cultivating gratitude and joy even when life is terrifying. It means practicing creativity without judgment. It means nurturing meaningful connection over carefully managed relationships. It means resting without earning it. It means playing without it having to be productive. It means laughing and singing and dancing even when you are afraid, even when it is imperfect, even when someone might be watching and judging. It means choosing courage over comfort every single day, not because it is easy, but because you have decided you are worth it. Now I want to speak directly to the people in this room who are exhausted, the ones who have been trying so hard for so long, and the ones who have read all the books and listened to all the podcasts and tried all the strategies and still wake up in the morning feeling like something fundamental is missing. The ones who are performing competence and happiness and confidence while quietly falling apart behind closed doors. I see you. Your struggle is not evidence that you are broken. Your struggle is evidence that you are human, and being human, fully, messily, vulnerably human, is not a problem to be solved. It is the whole point. The change you are looking for does not begin with more achievement. It does not begin with more discipline or more willpower or more self-improvement. It begins with one terrifying, liberating, and completely countercultural act. It begins with believing, truly believing, that you are worthy of love and belonging right now, exactly as you are, before you change a single thing. Because here is what the research says with absolute clarity. You cannot think your way into worthiness. You have to feel your way there. And you have to be willing to sit with the discomfort of being imperfect. You have to be willing to let people see you without the armor. You have to be willing to say, I am enough, on the days when every piece of evidence in your life is screaming the opposite. That is courage. That is the real work. And that work, that terrifying, beautiful, world-changing work, is available to every single person in this room. What we have explored today is not a theory. It is not an abstract concept that lives only in research papers and academic journals. It is the lived reality of every human being who has ever wondered why the life they are living does not match the life they feel they deserve. The answer has always been the same: shame, conditional worth, the confusion between fitting in and belonging, the armor of perfectionism, the prison of invulnerability, and the radical, available, life-altering truth that worthiness is not earned, it is claimed. The journey to self-worth is not comfortable. It will ask things of you that feel impossible. It will require you to put down shields you have been carrying so long they feel like part of your body. It will ask you to be seen when every instinct tells you to hide. It will ask you to say, I am enough on your worst days. But I promise you this, and I say this not as inspiration but as data, as 20 years of sitting with human stories and human truth. The people who do this work, the people who choose vulnerability over armor, belonging over fitting in, and wholehearted living over the performance of perfection, those people do not just change their own lives, they change the lives of everyone around them. You are worthy, not someday, not eventually, now. And the world desperately, urgently needs you to believe it.